What's up, Beaver fam? Want to make a podcast? Spotify's got a platform that makes it super easy. It lets you distribute it everywhere and even earn money, all in one place for free. It's called Spotify for Podcasters, and you can get started at spotify.com/podcasters. Here's how it works. You can record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer, so no matter what your setup is like, you can start creating today. Then you can distribute your podcast to Spotify and literally everywhere else podcasts are heard. They even have video podcasts. With Spotify for Podcasters, you can make money from your podcast through ads and even podcast subscriptions. And best of all, it's totally free. There's no catch. We've been using Spotify for Podcasters since the beginning and highly recommend you give it a try too. Download the Spotify for Podcasters app or go to spotify.com/podcasters to get started.
We don't have to talk about anything that happened last night, you guys, but we can if you want to.
I don't even know what happened last night.
Neither do I.
Yeah.
Good.
Okay. I know what happened yesterday afternoon. A lot of great things happened yesterday afternoon. At night, I stayed in, read a book, made some tea, just got real cozy. Didn't do anything. There was like nothing on TV, actually. I don't think there was. I think everything was just blacked out because there was nothing going on.
Yeah, I was blacked out. But I do remember blocking Taylor Swift on X.
Oh, dude, she's gonna get so mad.
She's gonna be so mad. She's gonna be so sad. Yeah, man, I really want to play
Taylor.
Are we with Taylor Swift? We did get banned in Russia when we tried to play a Taylor Swift song.
It was Miley Cyrus.
No, it was Miley for sure too. But I don't even want to try.
I won't play.
Miley Cyrus is so much tighter than Taylor Swift.
Oh, so much.
I do. But I would love to play a Miley song. But that for sure got us banned in Russia.
Yeah.
So
I was listening to Nas, New York State of Mind, and I just checked the Oregon State women's basketball roster to see if anyone was from New York because I really wanted to play that song. There's not, but I didn't realize how many international players there are. I knew we had international players on the team. I never counted them up.
JP, please play 5 seconds of International Players Anthem by UGK.
God, you're so good at that.
I know. Well, I love you guys, and congratulations, I guess, to whatever Kansas City fan. There are Kansas City fans who listen to us. I will not share their identity on the show for safety's sake, but I am happy when our listeners are happy, and that's all we'll say about that. We'll move in to off-season football shit. And as a Vikings fan, a fan of a team who regularly wins the off-season Super Bowl, just ask the fans. I am ready for off-season football, college and NFL. We'll be talking about the NFL draft process as it pertains to our beloved Beavers, and probably a few chime-ins of our two favorite NFL football teams as well. But also more college football offseason news. And with this signing day passing this last week, we'll get into that a little bit.
I'm so confused. There's so many signing days, I feel like.
Dude, I know.
Yeah. It's signing days, and days is spelled DAZE because it puts us in a daze because it's so confusing.
I thought that this one that happened last week was like the original signing day.
It was.
And I think
dude, February used to be turned with that signing day, and now it's just like, and now everyone who like signed, it's like, yeah, we know.
Yeah.
I remember even like the Beefs football comms team or creative team, they did a big old thing a couple years in a row on social media, like to follow along on signing day. And they were like, every graphic was popping up there for the first time ever for any player. Like nothing was discussed until that day, even if it was known. And you got like all the brand new like promotions and everything else for the new players. And now it's like,
it's like that person you know who has a birthday and then celebrates their birthday all month, but like really aggressively and like in your newsfeed about it. Speaking of which, my birthday was last week.
Happy birthday!
Let's go.
Let's go.
You're
Episode 129 of the Belligerent Beers podcast. In case there wasn't an obvious cue to hit the intro, JP. There was one. But we might have already been in it. So anyway, I hope everyone, I know it wasn't quite the result that we wanted on this podcast, or probably the majority of our listeners being West Coasters, but I hope you had a fun Super Bowl party. Hope you won some money on squares. Hope you ate some good wings, drank some cold beer, and just had a good time. And we're hungover at work today because that always makes it fun.
I did win money on squares. I still don't know how to play. I was asked on Friday at the end of work to play squares, and I filled out squares, but I think I get how it's supposed to be played. I don't think my work team played that way though. They said it was all randomized. They just pick square numbers out of a hat.
Well, you can randomize it and do it. Like there are ways where if you buy in first, it can be an advantage, and then you can buy like the 0-0 square, or like the 7-3 square, the 3-7 square. But I have played a number of ways where you just like write your initials on the board, and then there's a randomizer that like after kickoff assigns you a square. So like no one can like strategize or anything. It's all luck.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was.
Yeah, that is a way to play. So you won money. Congrats.
Thanks.
Not me. I lost money. No comments.
Yeah.
Though we almost had a nice little parlay. I asked for advice from the mini bebe about the coin flip. And I said, heads or tails, right? And he said it was gonna be tails. Okay. I'm like, yeah, I think you're right. I picked tails. Like, do you think that the Niners will win the toss or the Chiefs? And he was like, definitely the Niners. And I was like, yeah. I mean, I'm not gonna pick the Chiefs for anything. And the Niners called tails, and we were like this close to the course. And then overtime they called tails, and it was tails. And we could have won if it applied to overtime, which it did not. Though I have to make a confession about not betting on the Chiefs. But I think this one's just as a strategist better, which I am really neither of. I actually saw a little pop-up on the DraftKings sports betting Oregon lottery app that was like, place $1 bet and get, a free $5 bet. This is like in the fourth quarter. So I'm like, all right, I'll put another $1 on the Niners to win it. And then I was like, and then I'll take my free $5 and hedge my bet and put it on the Chiefs to win. So I came out like very little loss, but I felt just gross.
I was going to talk about that. Can be the move to cheer for the team you want to win with your heart, and then bet on the other team, so that when you wake up the next morning, you're like, at least my coffee's free today.
Yeah, well, and with my betting history, it's probably better for the team that I'm cheering for to bet against them, I think. If Vegas is any testament.
Nice. Well, congrats on a great season. You two specifically. I know you put in a lot of work to get the Niners that far. The Super Bowl, not the only sporting event that took place yesterday on Sunday, February 11th. We are recording this on Monday, February 12th. And I would say not even the most important sporting event.
I agree.
No. Super Bowls have happened before, as they love to brag about. There's been 58 of them. The number in Roman numerals is in every single advertisement for the Super Bowl, in every single script of the Super Bowl. You know what there haven't been 58 of? Oregon State women's basketball beating top 5 teams on the road. There's been one, and it happened yesterday.
Hey, let's go.
The whole world. Why are you talking about this game, Taylor?
Yeah.
Why aren't you hitting up to Leah Von Olhoffen and singing Love Story to her?
Yeah,
Come on, Taylor. We see you.
Probably because JP blocked her.
Probably because JP blocked her, but that's all right. She can find a way beyond that.
She deserved it.
She did.
She absolutely did. Yeah. Big dubs for Oregon State women's basketball. The type of dubs that you start looking at weekends this spring and flights and travel plans and arrangements and shit. The type of games that get you start Googling like leaks for the conference championship t-shirt and hat and stuff that, goes out to the best teams in the conference. all that good stuff. So we'll get into that. We'll get through the Raegan Beers segment, which we might want to change the name of to the Raegan Beers Perpetual Pac-12 Women's Basketball Player of the Week segment.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I like that better.
I agree.
Flows off your tongue better.
I think I think it does. But yes, also Oregon State softball back in action. We'll talk a little bit more about their Rawlings Invitational from beautiful Tampa, Florida. Though I see there was a heat wave kind of everywhere this week, so I still would have preferred to be in Tampa in February. Great place to be. And this is the last show
ever.
Last show ever before Oregon State baseball plays a game in the 2024 calendar.
Oh man, guys.
It's been a long off season.
Oh, this is primo season for Oregon State sports. Women's basketball, baseball, man,
gymnastics.
We're talking about some national juggernauts this time of year, guys.
We absolutely are. What a time to be alive.
Yeah.
And we'll get to that and more, but first let's get into this Raegan Beers segment. I'll go first this time around. Because JP went first last time, and I don't think that he has anything. Like this is again Terry was just traveling and got home, and this is what was in the fridge. So let's thank past Terry for having a case of Michelob Golden Light on hand. It's not Bud Light. It's another great American macro brew that I am enjoying. And yeah, shout out to past Terry who put it in the fridge last week before leaving for Kansas City.
Nice job, past Terry.
Good job,
Pastory.
I keep wanting. I have some great THC drinks from a local company, Kite Soda, who makes incredible THC sodas and ciders and other things. But they're so incredible that they also work super well.
Oh, I thought you were going to save them for me.
I'll say one for you. Okay. We're friends with the people who make it, and they live in the neighborhood too. So we can just kind of go over there and get a case whenever you're in town.
Oh, cool. I would like to go over there and chat with them.
Yeah,
sounds fun.
The THC orange soda they make tastes just like a perfect orange soda.
Ooh.
And I drank the entire thing, and thankfully it was one of the lower amounts of actual THC in it.
Oh man!
And I just had a great night. So anyway, that is not tonight. And a great sleep afterwards.
Did you guys see the ad? Oh, not the ad. The X post or whatever it was of that guy who was like he took a picture of like some sort of like I don't know THC or cannabis drink, and he was like, "How is this legal?" I gotta find it, but he was like, "How is this legal? I drank one of these last night, thinking it was just gonna relax me and like just whatever, be a regular kind of beverage, but I ended up passing out, sleeping for 12 hours, and I slept through church. How is this legal?" Like,
sounds like the best thing that could have happened to you, my dude.
Yeah. So he put everyone on blast about that there was THC in it and that it shouldn't be legal to have THC drinks like that. But then it was debunked
was it like
by the community
pastor
notes
of the church.
No,
giving the sermon that day.
But like the community notes busted him, and it was like, no, there's no THC in this drink. It's just CBD.
So he was just really tired.
Yeah.
He probably needed the 12 hours, probably.
Yeah. Look at him trying to blame weed for not going to church.
Yeah. That's a conversation you need to have with God, homie.
Yeah, that's right.
God's not on X, formerly known as Twitter. I can promise you that.
Yeah. Have a real THC drink and then try to have that conversation.
Yo, when you pick up the phone after having some THC, God answers.
God could be on the other end.
All right. Well, speaking of God and THC, Benny, let's go to you next.
No, I don't.
The THC like God.
That. Yeah, the THC God.
I don't have THC God. Another nickname for you.
Yeah, I like that one the best. I don't have anything because I indulged so much last night that I was telling Terry this before we started recording. Once Mahomes threw that last touchdown pass, I kind of just shrugged and was like, I guess it's baseball season. And that took a lot of THC to get me to that point. But I did have that much THC to get me to that point. So I'm taking tonight off.
I was gonna ask, like, when did the indulging come in? After, like, did you get super high and watch Griffey highlights until like 3 a.m?
Honestly, I didn't start until the fourth quarter. And it may have been like midway through the fourth quarter. And I'm not sure what I watched after the game.
There you go.
Yeah.
Probably, I think you should leave.
It should have been, I think you should leave.
Yo, have you guys watched Griselda?
No.
I have not watched Griselda.
Is that by the makers of Narcos?
Yeah, it's
great.
Ooh, I fucking love Narcos.
What did they call her? The White Widow or the...
No, she was the godmother.
The godmother. Yeah. Pablo Escobar said that she was the only person he was ever scared of.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to watch that.
It's really good. I recommend watching it.
How many episodes?
I think there's 8. We already finished them.
Where can you find it?
Netflix.
Netflix? Yeah. Okay.
I'm still midway through Narcos Mexico.
Oh, but why? Is it actually worth anything?
It's I like the story of Narcos Mexico with it's like the start of El Chapo and the Sinaloa cartel, but it's like before that. So I just like the story. I can't watch it, watch a bunch of episodes in a row because it's all subtitles. So I don't know Spanish, but yeah, it's good.
Wait, you can read?
I can read.
I thought you were going to say it because it's super intense. Like,
it is super intense.
With the people who binged Breaking Bad, I was like, dude, I need to chill out after watching 2 episodes because I'm just so stressed about all of this that's happening.
Yeah,
Narcos has that vibe a little bit.
Yeah.
All right, Griselda on Netflix. Add it to the list, everybody, and also add whatever drink JP is drinking. To the list because I just heard a snap, crackle, and a pop.
That was me. The Rice Krispie beer drinker.
Ooh,
from Great Notion has to have a Rice Krispie beer.
Yeah,
they really do, but they don't.
They have a Rice Krispie treat beer or some. They've had something in their run of brewing achievement in Portland. They have for sure done something similar to a Rice Krispie treat beer.
Not that I've ever seen.
Let's have the head brewer of Great Notion on.
Yeah, he's right here. Actually, just kidding.
Nope. That's next week. We have Neil deGrasse Tyson in the waiting room still.
Oh yeah, he's been in there for a week.
He's been in there for a week. Yeah, he's not.
And he actually hasn't left. Yeah, it's weird. He won't leave the waiting room. I am drinking. Shout out to super secret producer Skinder, who popped on over for the Super Bowl, watched it with me, comforted me, held me in his arms as I cried rivers of sadness. But he did bring me something very nice and fitting and delicious. And it's a Freem IPA, and it's a West Coast IPA, and it's got the cherry red and gold color scheme on the can.
That's a
cool.
handsome can.
That is a handsome can.
Mm-hmm.
What's the little logo on the other?
That's the Freem bear.
Oh, that's cool. I like that.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
It carried me through some dark moments last night, and I figured I could come back to it again today to carry me through this dark moment.
What a pal.
He is a pal.
He is a pal.
Damn right.
Good. Maybe the best person to have in that very specific type of moment. Corner. There's not better company than super secret producer Skinder when you just want to cry about something sports related. It's a great quality. We love you, Scansy.
Yeah.
All right. Well, with that, let's cheers to you guys. Cheers to the Niners, even though it just was out of reach, but also cheers to Raegan Beers and Oregon State women's basketball for beating Colorado again.
Hell yeah. And Utah.
Sweeping the mountain schools home and away.
It
is their perfect segue into the hardwood segment.
Yeah.
Your aforementioned Oregon State women's basketball team has now climbed up to number 11 in the AP poll.
Too low.
Too low. Hashtag too low. But at least it's getting there. It's the right direction. We said that they should have had this ranking at like the beginning of the season. Maybe we know a thing or two. I don't know. Who cares? I only care about where this team is at right now. And that is holding one of the most explosive offensive teams in the country, like Colorado, to less than 60 points. Again, holding Utah to its lowest scoring output in a home game in almost a century. There's a lot to love about what this team does on offense and the scoring ability that so many different players has. We've talked a lot about it this year. But my God, is this team playing some lockdown defense right now?
Yep.
And on a super Sunday, this team showed it's got some full-on championship aspirations and not just conference championship aspirations either.
Yeah.
Man.
I mean, well, I think one thing to keep in mind is the ranking is too low, right? Like, I think that's obvious, but it's also incredible that this team jumped 6 spots this late in the year without a bunch of teams in front of them losing. Like, to me, that's
the voters going, oh shit.
That exactly. That is the voters going, oh shit. Like, there's something here. And I think, earlier on in the year where you had losses to USC and UCLA back to back, and we're 1 and 2 in Pac-12 play, and you're looking at the gauntlet in front of you the Pac-12 is unbiasedly, and I think no one would challenge this, is the best women's basketball conference in the country this year. So you're looking at that and you're like, there's no way that they're going to be in the running for a Pac-12 championship. And they are. Like, the road is tough. They have a tough go of it this weekend with UCLA and USC at home. But if they win out, and one of those is against Stanford, but if they win out, if I'm not mistaken, the worst that they can do is tied for first with Stanford. But I think the tiebreaker is their records against the next, like the third place team, which, if Colorado, bodes well for Oregon State. So it's just incredible that this team is in this position, and they are definitely the team that's playing the best in the conference. And I would make an argument, although I don't watch a ton, or enough, I should say, women's basketball outside of the Pac-12 to know, but I think it's a pretty fair argument that they're playing the best out of any team in the country right now. It's just incredible. I mean, we beat Colorado by 6 points. And
it was a dicey fourth quarter.
It was a
dicey fourth quarter.
But who
cares? I don't care.
But seeing, like, I mean, we were up 44-22 against the number 4 team at their home. Like, that's so crazy.
And like, at altitude, Colorado normally does the opposite. It's like they run people out of the gym, like, from the jump. Playing in that higher elevation. And I think that's probably what got to the Beefs in the fourth quarter, but wins are wins.
Well, and
top 5 wins on the road are top 5 wins on the road. You can't poke holes in them.
Dude, and they made Utah look silly again, and Utah's really good. Like, and the crazy thing about all of this is that they're doing this with no seniors. There are no seniors on this team. It's really, like,
it's wild.
It is wild. Yeah.
We brought up like what Talia brings to the team and what was missing last year with her being injured. And we were maybe a little worried that it was going to be not like a stunted growth of this team without having, like, kind of that veteran leadership on the court last year, but maybe they'd have to kind of start over again with her being back and other players coming in their own throughout the season, right? Raegan, Tamia finally again on the court and having, a great close of the year. But it's almost like this was like the undelivered promise of last season and some right now. Yeah, I mean, there's no weakness in this lineup, and like all the way through the bench. And anyone can be called on at any time. They can deliver one of the most masterful games that they've ever brought to their Oregon State program, and no one bats an eye because they know that everyone's capable of doing this. It's not like, oh, who did that to this tonight? It's more like, cool, it was her turn. I love it.
Right.
Obviously, there's definitely the consistent contributors, and Raegan talking about her pulling in Pac-12 Player of the Week again. I mean, she's obviously at the forefront of consistency with this team. But even those nights that she's down and out, there's someone else stepping up and pulling it off. And I mean, I have to say, like there's so many contributors on this team that nobody expected to be able to no one was even hoping that they would really contribute to the way that they are so far this season, because like it felt like, yeah, you're young, you're a freshman, like you're not supposed to come out here on the getting big minutes, making big buckets, making big plays on defense. But if you do, of course, like you have the ability, but no one's expecting it of you. And that's what's been the most fascinating with this team so far is the freshmen who have stepped up and brought it regularly, not like a one flash in the pan game, but day in and day out, they are playing impact hoops, helping this team win these games.
Yeah, we got to talk more about Raegan as well. First beef to win 2 Player of the Week honors in the same season since Marie Gullich did it in 2017 and 18. Picked up her 28th double-double on Sunday as well, really becoming one of the premier post players, just premier players in college basketball right now, and is just not having off nights. And there's so many weapons that when everyone's on, this team can beat anybody. And we talked a lot about this 8-game stretch where we were going to learn a lot about this team. And that 8-game stretch started with that game at Stanford where Tara Vanderveer set the all-time wins record, or broke the all-time wins record. And since then, we're now 6 games into that crazy 8-game stretch, and the team's 5-1. And it started with at number 8 Stanford, home against number 3 Colorado, home against number 16 Utah, at Oregon, then at number 20 Utah, at number 4 Colorado. All those past 5 are wins. And then it keeps going this weekend with home against number 9 UCLA and home against number 10 USC. So then that gets broken up with one more road trip of the regular season at the Washington schools, and then hosting the Bay Area schools. So another crack at Stanford at Gill Coliseum on Leap Day, taking a leap by beating the Cardinal. You heard it here. And I know that Oregon State Athletics is running a promotion for $4 tickets for this weekend's game using the code Top5Win when you buy your tickets online. So if you haven't helped to fill Gill already,
it's only 24 hours. I think it's almost going to be done by the time this is out.
Well,
but still buy a ticket. Get there.
Congratulations to those of you who got $4 tickets. Oh, are you going to be able to go down, JP?
I'm trying to. I'm looking into it.
If you go down, let me know. I'm like still on the fence about it, but I was thinking about coming down at least for the Friday night game.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. My car is in use on Friday evening, so it's going to be tough to take it and go
just
solo.
Rent a Matte Black Escalade and have it delivered to your house. Our winning percentage when we do that is 1,000%.
Yeah, it's true. But go ahead.
I was gonna say just a special shout out to Tamia Gardner, who had 10 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 blocks, and 2 steals in her homecoming at Utah. And then Raegan for getting the double-double and the Pac-12 Player of the Week with her homecoming at Colorado. So that was really cool to see in front of friends and family for those two.
Yeah.
Now we just need some one New York player so we can go play at Madison Square Garden and have them go crazy in their homecoming.
Yeah, and then we can play New York State of Mind by Nas.
Yeah, but not until then though. So don't do it, JP.
Yeah,
I'm not. But I know people are not thrilled with the ratings, and I agree. I do think that with the rankings that came out today, that Oregon State, I would say, is still low. But man, anything top 10 right now in women's hoops is an absolute cluster. The only thing I would say is definitively wrong with the rankings at this point is Colorado still being 8. Yeah. And I think a lot of that is them hanging their hats on beating in the opener number 1 LSU, number 1 at the time.
Right.
Now LSU's 13, so it holds less weight, but the voters don't care because they just look like they closed the book on a week. Well, they beat the number 1 at the time, so they've got that quality win. But if you look at the breakdown, so we have 8 Colorado, 9 UCLA, 10 USC, 11 the Beavs. And I just was just trying to see who's beaten who and why could this be justified and or what's wrong with these rankings. And I think there's the biggest thing to me, I'm not going to go too deep into this, is UCLA is definitely the second best team in the pack behind Stanford and maybe equal 1A, 1B. Colorado is only ranked number 8 right now because of the disrespect that the Beavs still get. Because you throw out those Beavs losses on the road at number 25 and then at home against number 17. Even though we're 11 now, they only have lost both at home to number 10 NC State and number 5 UCLA. Now NC State number 6, UCLA now 9. But what's interesting though is Colorado, even if you count those Beavs losses in there and you do have respect for our team, it's hard to have any respect for their wins because all of them have technically they've been the home team for or at their home court. All their ranked wins at LSU, Stanford, USC, and Utah, all at home, none on the road. Whereas UCLA had on as a road team against Ohio State, who's now number 2, and out on the road at Colorado. And then they lost their 3 games against ranked teams higher than them and Utah on the road. I think SC is definitely also overrated, which makes you think, to me at least, I would throw out there that it would be like a 2A, 2B between USC and the Beavs because
they did get that win against us. So that's the tiebreaker that most voters will look at.
Yes. So they beat us. They beat Ohio State. They beat UCLA and they beat Stanford at Stanford. Though they lost to UCLA.
Pretty good win.
They lost to Utah. They lost to Colorado and they lost to Stanford, but all of those were on the road. So you can
beat USC this weekend.
Yes, my point is if you want to worry about the rankings, yeah, they're a little bit muddied up, but also it's chaos in the top 10, like I said. So if you want to establish yourselves, you have to beat USC.
And
if you beat USC, then you're easily top 8.
Especially since USC has Juju Watkins, who's just sort of elevated to not like the Caitlin Clark tier of stardom, because Caitlin Clark is kind of in her own tier. And then you have players like Angel Reese, Paige Beckers, and others right below it. But Juju Watkins is getting a ton of stardom and publicity, and she deserves it. She's an incredible player. But a star player in LA is going to move the needle in the minds of voters who aren't watching all of these teams play. That's kind of just the exposure that she's bringing to that program. But you can go a long way in overtaking that by beating them at Gill Coliseum this weekend.
Gill is a fortress. Oregon State still 14-0 at Gill.
It's going to be electric this weekend.
It's going to be electric, buckets. And USC and UCLA both struggle on the road. They're both hovering around 500 on the road. So fucking make Gill so loud. That is one thing that I looking back at our time at Oregon State. I wish that there was I wish we had this team when we were at Oregon State.
Yep.
Right, because a filled Gill, there's not really another environment that I've experienced that's similar. That old what do they call it? Not barn style.
Barn style.
Barn style. Okay, barn style. But just that old gymnasium feel, where the crowd's on top of you. It is going to be electric.
Well, and the history of Gill, also just to throw in there, it is when it gets electric, the murals come to life. That's how old it is. The spirits come out of the murals. They start
dance around,
dancing around. If you are privileged enough to be in the upper level and go up to the murals, look closely. When Gill is lit, they dance.
It's It's definitely really happening, and it's definitely not the asbestos poisoning you're probably ingesting.
The other awesome thing about a filled up gill is you guys are tired of the cold. Go into a filled gill, and it's going to be 95 degrees in there.
Yeah.
So that will be
the
fun.
only thing cold is the gill beers, and they're flowing. The gill dogs are rolling. Something that just diving into the numbers with the team more that I think is really important, or just to keep in mind, like last year with how frustrating it was and how many wins that we thought were within reach, but just ultimately got away from the team because of injuries and availability and so much. The continuity of this team this year has been awesome to see. Yeah. It's been almost the exact same starting lineup at all 23 games. Martha Peach started one game that Donovan Hunter came off the bench. Other than that, it's been Hunter, Talia, AJ, Kelsey, and Raegan every single game. And then your sixth woman is Tamia every single game.
Yep.
And then the bench, like Lily's played in every single game.
Lil Clutch
has played every single game. Katie's played in almost every single game. It's like just the best ability is availability. And if they can, stay unscathed, they went through so much adversity last year. And I think you're seeing the fruits of that labor bearing in them getting this much extended time together on the court. And we knew that they were capable of doing something special. Donovan is obviously a newcomer. Kennedy is a newcomer, but it's just been great to see it go this well and what this team is capable of when they all get to play together uninterrupted. I think that's definitely something that, we never jumped off the Scott Rueck bandwagon. And not really any of our listeners, but like if you looked at this sort of like national previews and you looked at who's on the hot seat, you could see some national writer maybe putting Rueck's name in there. And I think all of those notions have been pretty quickly dispelled. So just you see what the team's capable of when healthy, and they're gonna go deep. They're gonna run this thing deep. And not to get ahead of ourselves, but this weekend's gonna be huge.
Yep.
And with two of the NCAA tournament regionals being in Portland, and the team up to number 11 right now, there's a great chance that they'd host a regional in Corvallis. And then your path to getting to the Final Four is then a game in Corvallis at Gill, a game in Corvallis at Gill, and then 2 games at the Moda Center in Portland.
So sick. So, and I think
Dashel, we can't not talk about. I know people are like, "Oh, don't jinx it." We have to talk about it because that's how real it is. That the hype is real.
Dashel had a great article about this that came out today, and he gave some examples of teams when regionals were close. But I think the consensus is that Oregon State needs to be a top 4 seed to have a reasonable. So they need to be a top 4 seed, if I'm not mistaken, to guarantee hosting at Gill for the first 2 games.
The first 2 rounds. Yeah.
Right. And so if you get a top 4 seed and you're Oregon State, the thought is that you should have a pretty good chance of being in one of the brackets that would go through Portland for that road to the Final Four. So we say rankings don't matter, but rankings kind of matter. And I think
it is a committee who decides these things at the end of the day. So.
Right. And so, you have a very good chance this weekend. I think we keep talking about if you get a split here, I'm okay with that. I think the expectations with as well as these girls have been playing, what comes with that is higher expectations. And I think a reasonable expectation for this weekend is a sweep. That's what I hope to see. That's what I think we'll see. And if we do, I expect Oregon State to shoot up in the rankings again. I think then you obviously go above USC and UCLA, and you have to go above Colorado at that point. I can see what the AP was, or the people that vote into the AP were thinking, with Colorado being at number 4 and Oregon State being at number 16, even though Oregon State's beat them twice. Having that flipped is a lot of movement. So I get it. But if you beat USC and UCLA, then you're right behind Colorado and you'll go past them too. So But you're looking at if we sweep this weekend, you're looking at 8 at least in the country.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And probably higher than that. So big.
Well, Colorado
big
only has the one game this weekend. They're only playing at Utah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So
okay.
What I actually think it comes
Even
down
so.
to is, but what it comes down to is this: is you have to beat USC. I'm okay with a split as long as you take it to the Washington schools.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
leave no doubt, because then Colorado and USC and UCLA beat up on each other the next weekend.
That's right.
And so that's, to me, and then we have Stanford. So like that to me is when the dust settles.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
And if you can position yourself nicely through this weekend, obviously don't overlook Washington or Washington State.
Yeah.
And then get prepared for Stanford at home.
Yeah.
You have positioned yourself really, really nicely for a high seed to
Start thinking about 1 seeds and 2 seeds rather than
but here's the
3 or
thing.
4 and hosts.
Ohio State is number 2 in the country. They're 21-3. Oregon State's 20-3 and playing in a much better conference than what Ohio State's playing in. So
yeah.
I mean, JP said
that's what we're
it
fighting
is a cluster in the top 10.
Yeah.
It's
but that's what we're fighting against too.
Yeah, exactly.
Is the bias.
Yep. I think we'll see a showdown between Oregon State and Caitlin Clark. And I will tell you, I already
saw one of those.
You have a lot of family in Iowa too, buddy.
I do. I got
a speeding ticket.
Fan.
I got a speeding ticket in Iowa today. I actually kind of love Caitlin Clark, but not as much as I love the 12 players on the 15 players on Oregon State women's basketball team.
Yeah.
But yes, I did get a speeding ticket in Iowa today. So fuck you, Iowa.
Yeah. Taylor Swift.
Yeah. I bet she's really from Iowa.
Yeah. Terry said it.
I did not say it. I did not.
Yeah. Terry said that. Terry,
I'll tell you what.
He's like,
we can have a very fun, very pro Oregon State women's basketball segment free of besmirching Taylor Swift and Caitlin Clark, and until that Oregon State Iowa showed up. Well, fuck Iowa for giving me a speeding ticket today.
Yeah,
I was
Can
you blame me for how fast I was driving to try and get back home to get out of Iowa? Just kidding. No offense, Ben's parents. And I like Iowa City. I like Ames. I like Des Moines.
Yeah. Iowa's got some good spots.
It does. It's sneaky, but
they got some good bars to cry at once Oregon State beats Caitlin Clark.
I can assure you, I was nowhere near any of those cool spots where I was pulled over this afternoon. It was desolate.
Where were you? Just out of curiosity.
I was north of Des Moines at that point, so getting close to the border. I was almost.
You were almost there.
I was almost with those lenient Minnesota cops.
They're so nice.
Those lenient state troopers. It's just like the movie State Troopers. They're just playing pranks on each other. They're not trying to pull me over for speeding. But I digress. Big showdowns at Gill this weekend. You can be there too, Beaver Nation. Maybe not with this promotion for $4 tickets with the promo code Top5Win, if that is just a 24-hour thing that you are now hearing about for the first time after that 24-hour window has closed. But something tells me you can still get there. It's a very reasonable arena to get access to, unless you're Ben and I trying to get there after the second half has already started against UC Davis in the non-conference games earlier this season. Because
newsflash, you can't do that.
We stayed too long at Buffalo Wild Wings. Our bad.
Dude,
I had gift cards. Speaking of good places to cry, I needed a good place to cry, and the Corvallis Buffalo Wild Wings you can add to the list of places Terry's cried, which is a long list of a wide variety of establishments.
Do you guys know off the top of your head what the highest attendance a women's basketball game has had this season?
Gil?
Or
just in general?
No,
I don't. No. Is there?
I don't.
It's not in this. Maybe in. This is a part of the podcast where we look things up.
Yeah,
YouTube. I'm consulting the game notes. I'm consulting game notes.
Is there a part of our podcast where we're supposed to look things up?
This is the part of the podcast where we look things up.
I would imagine it was against Colorado. That would just be my guess. Utah had 5,000. Colorado had 5,200. Oh, maybe it was Oregon.
Where are you seeing these attendance numbers?
It's on Oregon State's.
ESPN's got them. 5,900 for Oregon.
That had to have been the highest. Because Colorado is like 50.
59 or 50, 55 taters, 55 fries, 55 tacos, and 55 pies.
55 tacos. 55 tots.
55,000.
Damn.
So 55,000. They built like 26 more gills. My math is not right.
What does Gill hold? Is it it's just over 8,000, 9,000?
Yeah, something like that. I think they redid the bleachers and it changed some of the capacity because they were trying to retrofit it to.
Why isn't this in the game notes?
Oh, who are you calling out now?
I'm calling out these outdated game notes that still have Oregon State's record as 17-3.
Yeah. Okay. So they redid the bleachers before the 2012 season to be not those orange capped seats, but the nice curved butt bleachers, where you can sit on them and it cradles your butt.
Oh, here we go.
But it was then 10,400 in 2011 and then is now 9,300.
And one,
yeah. And one. That one seat is reserved for me.
Where did we
play? Even if I show up in the second half.
Where did we play Weber State this year? Was that at Gill? Was that one of the tournaments?
It
couldn't because that says 8,000.
No, that wasn't.
Okay, so the they were just under 6,000 for the Oregon game.
Yeah, I said that.
And
5,900.
Since then, zero for Arizona State. Was that Weber State game at Gill?
Yeah. Oh no, but that doesn't count. It was the field trip game. It was all kids.
That count? Are you saying that kids don't count? JP?
No. If they don't pay a ticket. If they didn't pay for a ticket, they don't count.
Someone paid for it.
No, they do this they do a program with all the schools. I will say they count.
It's a great program, and they bring the energy. They bring the noise.
Yeah, it's very squeaky sounding. But
some say this podcast sounds like that.
Yeah. If you have to buy your own seat on an airplane, then you count as an admittance number to a sporting event. I guess that's the threshold. So these kids
that is
were probably all over 2 years old. So
I think beating that mark for these 2 top 10 games in the same weekend.
Can a bunch of adults beat a bunch of kids? That's the challenge. You're gonna lose to a bunch of 8-year-olds. You're gonna let them fill Gill, but you're not gonna fill Gill. Why don't you grow up and take some fucking responsibility? Yeah.
And how many students does Oregon State have now? Like 3,500?
Like 3 million. It's getting absurd.
35,000.
Yeah. But they count eCampus and some of the numbers of
freshmen,
eCampus
55 sophomores, 55 juniors, 55 seniors, 155 grad students. JP's so mad. I'm sorry, Jay.
Gill has to be filled this weekend.
I'm done.
Bring it back, Benny.
Gill has to be filled this weekend.
Yeah,
you're
Benny,
selling tickets for $4. I might.
I might drive me up.
Yeah, if I drive down, I will.
We got 2. We need 8. We got 2. We need 8,453 more to beat the Weber State game.
Yeah, but my seat always counts as an attendance, so that one, it's always there.
Mine should too. It should.
It should. Yeah. We'll talk to the right people that don't talk back to us anymore.
We're just yelling into a void here.
Do you hear us, Oregon State?
We have to shoot off some flares.
Oh my goodness. The men's team, nope, not even going to do that.
Hey, but when Washington State played Oregon, number one, shout out for the win. And Shout out to the guy who brought the Pac-2 flag that he was waving as all the Oregon Duck fans sadly left their $200 million arena that is still has my tequila puke all over the floor from 2008.
And your tequila puke is the grossest looking tequila puke of any tequila puke I've ever witnessed in my life.
It gets dogged a lot national media wise with it being on MacArthur
right, because
Court,
your signature is on. It's not MacArthur. I know we try not to give Oregon credit for anything on the show, but MacArthur Court was legitimately cool.
That was their old one.
That was their old one.
The pit
that had character, and tradition.
That was a lot like Gill.
It was sweet.
Yeah.
It was a sweet.
Maybe
arena.
even a little older.
Covered. I was there.
I think it was like 15, 20 years older.
First time I was there, I covered the state championship when Jefferson beat Corvallis High School on a pretty sick buzzer beater.
It was a buzzer beater.
I kind of remember you having to do that.
Corvallis High School had a squad in like
Did they?
07,
so does
08.
Jeff.
And Jeff
has a squad every year.
Every year, yeah. There is a really good coach at Corvallis High School, Greg Garrison. I remember his name. They were fantastic. But yeah, so that's
Garrison.
A really good state final. I think they were 5A because 6A was the highest, and I think both Corvallis and Jeff were just one below. One of the best high school basketball games I've ever watched.
Prove you're not a homer and tell me the name of the Jeff basketball coach
right now.
Yeah,
or from that game.
Yeah, you remember the Corvallis one, you homer.
Yeah.
You were reporting with bias.
I can't not reporting with bias. That was
I can't take this.
That was the first time I watched Jeff that season. I watched Corvallis play in person like 10 times. So yeah, that's why I remember. Who had Terrence Ross?
Terrence Ross went to Jeff.
Yeah.
Now I'm curious. Jefferson.
Aaron Miles went to Jeff.
No, Aaron Miles was gone by then.
Terrence Jones.
I'm thinking this was 2008.
Ime Udoka. He would have been way before.
Yeah, Ime Udoka was actively playing for the Blazers.
It was Terry Baker.
Yeah. Terry Baker was. Jeff Evans was the coach, JP. So 29, does that work? Does that compute?
Huh?
This doesn't have rosters.
Yeah. Hey, I gotta point this out though, and I don't want to talk about it because I don't like speculating, and I don't like talking negatively about other people who are doing their job, or at least assumptively doing their job the best that they can. But there is chatter gaining momentum that this men's team has kind of fallen off the wayside with their camaraderie, with their brotherhood, and that, these last few losses have been weighing on them quite a bit. And it'll be very, very interesting to follow the rest of this season to see if they can pull themselves out of this tailspin. I don't want to just ignore that they're not playing and that they're not playing basketball, but they are, and it's not pretty. It's not fun to talk about, but I really think there's a lot on the line with how the rest of this season plays out, and it's beyond any sort of momentum swing that could carry us into a postseason tournament. It is presumably retaining players, bringing back coaching staffs. This is a very pivotal moment for Oregon State men's basketball, given the landscape of college athletics, given the circumstances with the Pac-12 and Oregon State. I honestly feel like this could get more dicey than things got with football and Smith bowing out when he did, just because of what is on the line and what has not been, what has been hopefully coming, and where this season is headed. So something to keep an eye on, something to at least have front of mind. But again, please stop calling for people to be fired or for people to lose their jobs. I feel like that is, even if you feel it and think it, keep it to yourself. No one else needs to see that, especially the family and friends publicly of those who, You're discussing, like, yo, be a bigger human in your mind. Like, you expressing this on social media is not going to change anything. So
Yeah.
why don't you just continue to express it with your money, continue to think it in your deep, dark thoughts, but please, like, you're not helping the discourse by throwing it out into.
I'm also curious. I want to hear some creative solutions, because here's the reality with Oregon State men's basketball right now. There are a couple of things. The university probably can't afford to even fire Coach Tinkle right now. So that's number one. It's bad. It's bad business, even if it's happened
financially. And again, you're getting to, it's not just a financial thing. If it's also, what do you backfill with?
Exactly. And so you're trying to hire someone new to pay them a salary that would attract them to come to take the Oregon State job, which is not the highest profile job in the Oregon State men's or in the men's college basketball space. So you're paying two coaches simultaneously, one of whom you're actively paying to not coach your team. And also, I think people are fairly realistic in not necessarily, I don't even think it's realistic, but like think they're being reasonable with thinking of like mid-major coaches that they could attract and hire and could do well at Oregon State. But that is exactly what Oregon State did with the hiring of Greg Robinson and then the hiring of Wayne Tinkle as well.
Both of whom were very successful at mid-majors.
And Robinson, two other coaches turned them down before they got to Robinson.
Yeah.
So I think, and we've talked at like usually in off season, like Oregon State has a men's basketball problem, and there's not an easy or obvious solution. And I don't even think, like, sure, you can fire the coach because it's been bad since the Elite Eight run in 2021. And even in between the two postseason appearances that he did have, there was a pretty rough season in there as well.
The second worst than what came after the Elite Eight run.
So I'm not even saying that like those thoughts have like a foundation in like, if this is acceptable, then like what's not. And I get it. But what is the next step? Or how would you, and don't just be like, hey, let's go get some hot young talent from a mid-major, because especially in basketball, mid-majors are defined very differently than in football. Like even during like the Power 5 era in basketball, you had the new Big East and you had teams in conferences like the WCC, like with Gonzaga, teams like San Diego State and Florida Atlantic going to the Final Four last year. Butler, the thing like what Brad Stevens did at Butler. And like all of these places, because there's more basketball players like adjacent to all of these programs that are not traditional college football powers. And you have way fewer roster spots to try and find somebody. And to be a college basketball power, you need so much less than you do in college football, and more programs and institutions have those things needed. So the competition to have the cream rise to the top in basketball is so many more other programs to fight through and to find players and to fill out, a good bench staff and everything. I'm not saying that it's been working. It's not. But fucking fire him is not the call to action that I have any interest in hearing. And I want to hear some creative solutions. Like, I'm not married to like, let's just keep it the same because of whatever, and maybe we'll have a run that pops again. I'm not married to that, but I want to hear some type of creative thought process that is rooted in reality and reason, and has maybe a different approach to what could possibly work.
Well, I think what gets lost a lot is simply this, that time is of the essence, and it's not just because of the Pac-12 media deal, everything else. It's the longer you go in college basketball in a downward spiral without a coach that can pop a couple seasons of surprises, the harder it is to dig out of that, because you're not getting a coach. You're not getting the hot mid-major coach anymore. I mean, would have been their stepping stone to their mid-major. Like it's not like football where somebody's like, cool, I get the chance to be a head coach, build back a program, start over, do it my way. Great. That is a dime a dozen in college basketball. So you have to be stabilized. Like, honestly, find me a program that fired their coach and then turned it around that already was in the top 25 program and was just wanting more. Find me one.
Yeah.
Because what I think happens is most of these programs that are not top 25 or haven't sniffed it in forever, who fire their coaches, start at ground zero. And I'm not saying that's not a bad approach, but then you can't be calling for somebody to be fired in 3 years, 5 years when we have, one, maybe no money coming in to support a men's basketball program, and two, when there's no fans there to even make these players and coaches excited about playing. Like, I'm not trying to rag on any fans, but like, I think that it's a different atmosphere if we're there, and there's a lot less to put, shoulder the blame when it's like the fans are filling out the seats. And I know it's hard to go and the team's not winning, but we've got exciting talent on the team, dude. Like, I mean, Jordan Pope is a generational talent. And if you don't get to watch him play and you miss this opportunity, you're going to regret it. Like, you need to get out there to support these guys. You need to get out there to support these coaches because they're here right now. And the best opportunity for us, just like riding out the Pac-2 as long as we can, is riding out Tinkle to see what else he can bring. Like, I mean, there isn't a creative solution right now because we're handcuffed financially. There isn't somebody else out there that is going to jump at this opportunity of Oregon State men's basketball and turn us around while we're fighting against these media forces to acknowledge that our school is legit with our athletics and our community and our fan base. So, like, this is the only option. This is the only option. We got to make the best of it. And maybe things change after this season, but like, let's carry our weight for as long as we can, and some. But yeah, I mean, one last point real quick is, Terry, you have Oregon State's men's basketball program. I don't know why, because from the athletic department perspective, other than maybe holding on to coaches too long, I mean, really from J. John onward, they've done that. And that's through different athletic directors and regimes. So this isn't something to fault anyone on. Gill Coliseum has gone through fairly extensive renovations in the last 10 to 15 years. There's a practice facility built that is like a crown jewel of the athletic department. New. Yes. And it's right there in the middle of campus, and maybe one of the most premier locations when it comes to getting all the students to it that are going to utilize it, and what you can see from the windows, and being close to the other main facility and the workout rooms, everything else. So I don't think it's an investment thing. I don't think it is a facilities thing. So what's the problem? Is it just multiple back-to-back hires that we hung on to for too long? Is it the narrative around Oregon State men's basketball? I mean, women's basketball recruits into the same facilities. Like, I mean, I know Ruick is a phenomenal coach, and that he can get whoever he wants. But why did he come here after Lavonda Wagner and turn his thing around, but men's hoops can't?
Yeah.
And they had no history.
Women's basketball was in a pretty rough spot when Ruick came in.
Yes. And their flashes
off the court.
Yeah, and their flashes of being a successful program were not nearly as sustained as the men's were from the 80s onward. So
yeah. Well, the men's team does have history, and what I would say to people who are looking at who is the next mid-major, sexy hire that we can make. Let me ask you this: why would a coach that has built something at a mid-major want to leave a mid-major for another what is probably nationally perceived as a mid-major? Well, like, we're playing in the West Coast Conference the next 2 years.
Right.
And that there's no guarantee that we're going to be playing in the Big 12 or any other Power 5 conference after these next 2 years. So if you're quote unquote, up and coming, sexy new coach that's making a name for yourself, like, why would you hedge your bet on such a program that has so much uncertainty around it? So, to your guys' point, you have to write out Tinkle. I think there are some serious problems that JP alluded to. And I think that those problems are not with recruiting. I think we do have really good talent on the team, Jordan Pope being a great example. But this is the second straight season that there has been rumors of a cohesive problem.
Third straight.
Team. There is,
basically since,
Yeah, because it was 2 years ago that Jared Lucas was on the team, right? And there was that
he was gone after 21-22. So
okay. So it has been 3 years where cohesion has been a problem on the team. And it's hard not to put that back onto Tinkle. But again, like if you're thinking that these coaches that are at mid majors right now that have had a ton of success in the last couple of years in rebuilding the programs are going to want to come to Oregon State, you're out of your mind. Like that's not going to happen. Oregon State needs to, number one, get closer to the end of Tinkle's contract if that's what you want. And number two, you're going to have to build or have some certainty around what the future of the program is going to be. No coach is going to want to leave their program for a program that has so much uncertainty.
Right.
Yeah.
And I feel like this conversation gets had just a lot.
Yeah.
Of how does Oregon State fix men's basketball? And
the short answer, I think, is there's not a lot you can do in the next couple of years.
There's not.
Yeah,
and
we're a holding pattern.
Yeah.
The chances of Tinkle catching lightning in a bottle again aren't great, but it's not zero because it's never zero. And are you going to fire a coach who you then have to pay for however many years, however many dollars, and then do a national search for a replacement when you don't have a for sure conference? It's a challenge, and I think the right coach could rise to it. But I think most coaches, any assistants out there who want to be head coaches, would be like, you know what? I think I'm going to wait.
Yeah,
I think I'm going to wait till the next one, till the next offer comes along. But yeah, so
it's a sad state of affairs. But yelling,
right?
And here's the other thing: is we have an amazing women's basketball team. We have an amazing baseball team. We have what we think is going to be an amazing softball team and an amazing gymnastics team. So, like, dude, spend your time in other better, healthier places if you're yelling into the void about the men's basketball team. Well, like, there's so many other better things that are going on in Oregon State athletics right now.
And a thing with this too, they're not going to fire him.
No.
So you're just screaming at clouds.
Yeah.
And I don't even think it's worth your time to try and convince the athletic department to make a firing that they're not going to make.
Well,
if you love discourse, bring something different to the discourse.
Yeah.
I want to hear what I legitimately want to hear. People who want Tinkle gone, I want to hear what you would do next if you're Scott Barnes. I want to hear what is a realistic path forward to have a sustainable, successful men's basketball program that's rooted in reality and reason.
Somebody on X threw, what about Gary Payton into the mix?
He's the coach at what, Lamar University or Lamar College down
Liberty
in the Bay
or something. What is it called?
Liberty, where he has like Damian Lillard.
He's not coaching at Liberty.
Not that Liberty. Okay. It's down in the Bay.
Be like, GP, don't do that to me.
He has some like weird names on that team. Like Damian Lillard's cousin is on that team, but he has 0 minutes. Like he's not playing at all. And then there's who else is on that team, Jay? Like there's someone specifically. No, it's Liberty.
It is Lincoln University. Oakland's Lincoln University.
Yeah.
Hall of Famer Gary Payton, in his third season as men's basketball coach at Oakland's Lincoln University, has not received a salary the past 2 seasons. That's the Google hit when you look up.
Hey, we can beat that. We can beat that.
Okay. I'm getting convinced over here. GP, come on the pod.
Yeah, come on, man. Hold on, I'm pulling up the roster right now. I want to see who this is because it made my news feed.
But while you're looking that up,
I'm emailing athletics@lincoln.edu right now to see what's the
buyout?
What's the NIL agreement from Belligerent Beeves to Lincoln University to get Gary Payton back to Corvallis?
No, you just have to ask. Yeah, hey, I know you guys aren't paying him, but what's the buyout?
What's the buyout for
money?
What's the buyout cover that doesn't have a salary?
Yeah, Terry, hit the ad. We got to pay for the buyout.
This episode of the Belligerent Beers podcast is brought to you by the Lincoln University for-profit business school. Come play for our coach and make no money because he's not making any money either. Lincoln University, where your dreams cost nothing.
100 years of academic excellence.
101 years now.
God
no,
damn it.
100,
Well, their
105
website
since
says
1919.
Their website says 100 years of academic excellence.
Their website
Literally.
clearly needs a website guy. JP, let him know. Let's get JP.
You guys should trade
contract.
me for Gary Payton.
We'll give you JP Bertram. He'll put your whole program on Squarespace, and Gary Payton is the dude.
I'll also coach through ChatGPT if you need me.
It keeps Tinkle in the head coach spot, but Gary Payton becomes the GM because that's the thing. That's a change we're going to see is GMs in college sports.
Yeah, I mean that's essentially Scott Barnes, though.
Yeah,
but he's the GM of the whole department.
He's the president.
But
then we also have a president. This is way too confusing. There's too much dead weight in academia.
There is too much dead weight in academia. And not at Oregon State though. We love President.
No.
And Scott Barnes. But Benny has a point.
The player that's on that Lincoln University team. So there's another Peyton, Julian Peyton, who I believe is Gary's nephew. There's Jarian Lillard, who's Damien's
Jarian Lillard.
Or Jaron, I think is Jaron Lillard. And then Ben Kone, who is on Oregon State's basketball team in 2016.
Yeah.
So this is
what?
Yeah.
Who do they play? Trump University? We should maybe move on from basketball after that.
The good ending.
That'd be a good t-shirt.
Softball goes 3-2 in its season opening tournament in Tampa. Losses to Michigan and Florida, but there were some good moments as well. They wiped the floor with Bethune-Cookman, South Florida as well, and also picked up a dub against Illinois State. Lici Campbell and Eliana Gotlieb already swinging hot bats to start the season. Our gal Sarah has looked good in the circle. You know, as Sarah's mentioned on last week's episode, go ahead and listen to that if you haven't yet. Great conversation with Sarah Hennigas and Tanner Smith. Those two are amazing. God damn it. Just perfect people. But a lot of excitement around softball this year because there's so many people coming back and also so many new players. So I do think a big chunk of this early season will be kind of figuring out things a little bit. Like there's 13 bats fighting for about 9 spaces in the lineup, and about
9 spaces.
About 9 spaces. Spaces or places. About 9 belligerent beef spaces being dedicated to softball per game. We'll do a spaces every inning, and it'll restart the next inning, even though they do 7 innings and not 9. But anyway, I digress. Fresno State tournament coming up. We've got games against St. Mary's and then 2 games against Fresno State and also Utah Valley. A couple of those games on the Mountain West Network. Check out that network. See how they present games. See if they've got some on-air talent that we can steal for the revamped Pac-2 network.
Which is shutting down like in 4 months.
A couple months, yeah.
Unless we save it and restart it and put it on Apple. And
how
it's
much
just
to buy the Pac-2 network? Yeah,
put us guys. You're quitting your jobs too. We're just broadcasting game every single Oregon State and Washington State game.
We could be on the
Pac-2 network. I think we can do it.
Can we just do it on a live stream?
Oh yeah,
probably on premium though too, so that we can swear.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah.
But we're really fucking excited about the goddamn Fresno State tournament. 5 games, 5 more opportunities for Oregon State softball. And also the Mary Nutter Collegiate Classic is coming up again after that tournament, JP, 3rd week in February, which we're all very excited about. In Cathedral, California is where the Mary Nutter Collegiate Classic is. Where's Cathedral?
SoCal.
Yeah.
Mm.
Okay.
Mary
Baseball.
Nutter.
Baseball. Oh, what's that? JP, please play 5 seconds of Take Me Out to the Ball Game.
Well, it's 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out at the old ball game.
Bye.
There's it by America. There is a different, more obscure, like baseball themed song that I wanted to ask about, and I was gonna be like, "What's that classic baseball song? That old timey baseball song?" And I was just gonna hear you guys go, "Take me out to the ball game, you dumb motherfucker." That's by the Phantom of the Opera, as we all know. Baseball back in action this Friday, February 16th. The College Baseball Classic in Surprise, Arizona at Surprise Stadium. Surprise. Game 2.
Where'd that come from?
Against the University of Minnesota, following opener against New Mexico, and also a game against CSU Bakersfield. Lots of big things expected, big hopes, big expectations for this team.
Yep.
If we're not in Omaha at Rocco's challenging the great, and I will only refer to LSU fans with a great amount of respect until we get that record, trying to beat their record of 68,888 Jello shots during the College World Series.
I'll do it.
That is where we're supposed to. I'll do it. I'll put all of that gelatinous booze and fueled garbage into my stomach and see what happens.
Practice tonight.
How excited are you guys for baseball? We've got to move quickly here, but just
so excited.
Yeah, I want to see.
It's Friday.
I mean, I want to see that this team can live up to these expectations. I would say that most of our greatest teams came in with a lower bar of expectations because of a down year the year before or a rebuild year expected, and they have not consistently delivered on a season that had a lot of high expectations.
That's fair.
So I would love to see that for a change and not have to play, as the underdog with a chip on your shoulder, feeling disrespected when you're a program like Oregon State that should just be, bulldozing over everybody. And I did get the vibe though with talking to Sarah and Tanner that is kind of how everyone feels. Like he didn't shy away from the preseason rankings. If anything, he was just like, yeah, we're ready to go prove everybody that they were right, if not wrong, because we're better than that.
Yep.
And I obviously know he doesn't speak for the entire team, but he's a vet. He's been around. Like that's got to be the mentality that's trickling through that clubhouse of like that's still not enough. And this is what we expect of ourselves. So it's time to deliver on that and more. So that's what I want to see the most. I am very excited about this team. Whether or not they end up being, whatever these preseason rankings have them at, and they still end up sneaking into Omaha, I'm still going to be super stoked. But I just want to see a season that delivers on the preseason promise when we are looked at favorably to start a season.
For sure. And it all starts on Friday, February 16th, 11 a.m. Pacific time at Surprise Stadium in Surprise, Arizona. To watch this game, you need something called Flow Baseball.
God damn it. I hate Flow.
What is
watch our ad is Flow Baseball. Flow Sports.
Our ad is going to be Flow Baseball. Flow Baseball sounds like the name of like a Gen Z TikTok rapper.
Don't hate on Gen Z.
Flow Baseball sounds like the name of what a young person rapping on TikTok would name themselves.
Like Tekashi 6ix9ine?
I love type. Oh no, here's the thing. You can say this as hating on Gen Z. I love Gen Z for a lot of reasons. And there's a lot of Gen Zers making dope content and great music. Gen Z sucks at rap names. Young rap names now are awful. They all have like 19 syllables, acronyms that don't mean anything.
Yeah.
It's not the same.
They're all made by Elon Musk. It's children's names.
YFN Lici.
Yeah.
I like some.
JP Lici.
No. JP, please play 5 seconds of YFN Lici every day we lit. Because every day we lit. Please play 5 seconds of every day we lit.
Every day we lit. Yeah. Every day we lit. Yeah. Every day we lit. Yeah. Every day.
YFN Lici.
We've only asked like twice.
Wait.
Remember the episode? Every day we lit.
Every day we lit. Every day I see my dream. Oh, no.
Every day we lit.
I love FAO. Also not Gen Z. So maybe we started this shit. Anyway, With no disrespect to Gen Z, Flow Baseball sounds like a Gen Z TikTok.
No,
rapper.
but hey,
Well,
but Flow, wait, Flow Sports has a bunch of different things, and I have to ask you, Flow Baseball, not a good rapper name, but I got one for you that they also have, Flow Bikes. How's Flow Bikes? Yeah. All right. You get okay? Fine.
Flow,
I like that one.
Wait, Flow Live.
Ooh, Flow Live sounds like
Flow
Flow
Live.
Baseball's live show
All right.
Well,
ready?
I hate
at the Roseland.
There's one more.
At, like,
There's one more.
That
Okay,
starts at
let's hear
like
it.
2 a.m. on a Saturday.
Flow Live.
Flow Track. I mean, that is a rap.
Flow track.
Word,
Flow
yeah.
track. Flow track at my flow
like that.
trap.
Yeah. Oh, I thought they said mile spit, but it said mile split. But still, it can be
No, it says mouse spit.
mile split.
mi-
The fire spit. Gen Z, hit me up. I got all the ideas.
Dude, I hate to be the bearer of bad news here, but every single game, with the exception of 2 in February, are on Flow Baseball.
Yeah.
And the ones that aren't Flow Baseball just aren't on anything.
They're on Flow
Uh,
Live.
No,
Shout out
that
Flow Live, my favorite rapper.
on Flow
My
Live.
favorite
At
Gen
the
Z
end.
rapper.
the game against North Dakota State on Leap Day is this Oregon State live stream 2, not live stream 1.
One's being taken up.
1 is probably softball, right?
It must be.
I don't know.
What day
Could
is
be.
it of the week?
It's Thursday, but Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday we play North Dakota State. All of them are on Oregon State live stream 2.
Wow.
I think Oregon State live stream 1 doesn't exist because they're all the games that are on an Oregon State live stream are on live stream 2.
I kind of like that. That's a good gimmick.
Yeah, because 2 is better than 1.
Yeah, but you can also upsell people for getting access to Oregon State live stream 1. Sign up now.
Yeah.
Oregon
Yeah.
State Plus. They need to hire us. We would just be raking in cash for this athletic department.
Come on, Oregon State athletic
Yeah.
department. Come on,
Yeah.
Scott.
Yeah. You got control of the Pac-2 network. Put us on
Yeah.
it.
Put us on.
Put us on it.
Yeah.
We're basically like
What's
less
gonna
better
happen? Are they
looking
gonna
versions
shut
of
it
Yogi
down?
Roth.
Yeah.
Is the
Worst case
conference,
scenario.
Are we going to do such a bad job that the conference implodes? Oh, no. It would be so fun.
It
Yeah.
would be so fun.
As fun
But
as
in
this
the meantime,
episode
we can
was,
start
that
Oregon State Plus.
I am bringing this to an end. This has been the 129th episode of the Belligerent Beefs podcast. Thank you so much for rocking with us, and thank you so much for calling your representative and ready to Scott Barnes to get the Belligerent Beefs on the Pac-2 network in its final days as one last ditch effort to save sports for all of us. Oh my God. Thank you
We would do it.
so
We would
much
do it.
for
For
being
sure.
with us. Please, if you have not done so already, I really need to say this at the top of the show, but rate and review, like and subscribe, 5 stars only, wherever you get your podcast. It might seem trivial and tedious, but leaving a 5-star review, either with words or not words, really helps us grow the show a lot and pick up new listeners like yourself who love Oregon State University and Oregon State athletics and the Oregon State lifestyle. And who's better than you to help spread that message? We appreciate it so much. And also, we also love grassroots word of mouth marketing. Also a great Ludacris album. So please take this opportunity to share the show with a friend by using word of mouth. I'm not going to ask JP to play any Ludacris because he gave me death eyes after I asked for the ABCDEFYFN Lici song to be played mere minutes ago that you hopefully heard because it was added in post-production. JP is a wizard, isn't he, Benny?
Yes.
What a talented guy. We love him to death.
JP
Wizards
within
never
5
die.
seconds of motherfucking Wizards never die.
We stay high because motherfucking wizards never still
Yeah. God, we're all on the same wavelength.
Wizards. Who is it? I don't know.
Wizard, I think
Guys.
this is called Workaholics Wizard Raps, right? I think it's just Wizard Raps. Anyway, that guy, I'm gonna do this in a different order. That was JP Bertram talking about motherfucking Wizards Never Die. He's straight out of a Modo Fo show. Wizards Come to Yodo. And he's at JP Bertram on Instagram and at the Trial J on X, formerly known as Twitter. That's at the _Trial_J because he's too trial to be real and on the 1s and 2s. And also Ben Benjamin Lawrence, Sebastian Wehage, aka Benny with the good quaff, aka Benny Bowl Game, aka Benny Burner, aka Benny Blastoff, aka
The THC god.
Benny the THC god. God spelled. Do you want God spelled G-O-D or like G-A-W-D?
G-A-W-D.
Benny
Gow.
the THC Gow. I can't believe we've done this 129 times. What are we doing with our lives? He is Benny L1986 on all your social media channels. My name is Terry Horseman at Terry Horseman on X, formerly known as Twitter, and at Terrence Horseman on Instagram.com. You can follow the show itself, our brand, our community, our people in a million different places at Belligerent Beeves on X, formerly known as Twitter, Belligerent Beeves on Instagram, on Facebook, on Blue Sky, which I believe is now just totally public now. So that's probably a thing that's going to stick around for a while. Belligerent
we're
Beeves
on there.
On YouTube, Belligerent Beeves Plus on Oregon State Plus, Belligerent Beeves Today on YouTube TV/Flow Belligerent live stream
Flow
shit,
Belligerent.
whatever. Flow Belligerent. Flow Belligerent is Flow Baseball's like drunk uncle who's like rapped longer and is also me. YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, other stuff. BelligerentBeeves.com. BelligerentBeeves.com/merch. Raegan Beers, second Pac-12 Player of the Week award. You know what goes great with that? Beeves, Beers, and Buckets merchandise, which has been restocked in multiple color schemes and colorways and looks incredibly dope. So get to belligerentbeeves.com to check us out. Get to belligerentbeeves.com/merch to cop that ill drip. And follow the show and tune in again next week for another incredible episode of the Belligerent Beeves podcast. Go Beeves. And remember, no matter what, until then, we'll see you next time. You can't spell chop 'em without hope. So chop 'em.
Chop 'em.
Chop 'em.
Beeves back, baby.